Welcome to episode 21 of Communication Error, a gaming debate podcast where we may not always agree, but if we listen to what one another has to say, maybe we'll be able to fix our communication error. I'm one of your hosts, Cheesy, and the man who I don't know might be too popular for this podcast now, John Ebo.
Yeah,
you had kind of a crazy weekend.
I'm like famous.
Yes, yeah, and like swimming in money. Like I just picture you as like Scrooge McDuck now.
Yeah, I was sort of famous before, but now I'm like famous.
It's like that 5 minutes of fame, and now you're up to like 15 minutes.
Now I'm at 15 minutes of fame. Yeah, no, it was kind of like, it was weird. Definitely I was not expecting it to go as viral as it did.
I
guess for context,
yeah,
I had purchased the Nintendo Switch version of Mortal Kombat 1, and it came out on early access, so I paid to get the premium edition, and it was like one of the smartest things that I've done.
Which is saying a lot.
Because I make a lot of smart. Yeah. I make a lot of smart decisions.
Calculator.
Yeah, calculator. Yeah, if you just want to if you want to make money making videos, just like buy a game that you could just rip on, or people are just gonna like point out all the time. But yeah, so I made a couple videos about how bad that game looks. Like graphically, it's painful to look at. And I made a few videos, and the one got picked up on Twitter. I didn't tweet it, which I feel like an idiot. I should have been the first one to tweet that out. But somebody tweeted it out. They didn't tag me, unfortunately. But it had like 7 million impressions.
Yeah.
And
so you had another account tweet your video that had your watermark in the video.
Yeah. At least had my watermark.
People would still know that it was you. Did you see any kind of growth from that?
Not really, no. Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know, because the videos did really well on TikTok as well. Like I got over 2 million views in the past 3 or 4 days, I think. Yeah. Across like 3 videos. So, I mean, I don't get that kind of traction that much. So I got a lot of growth from that. But I went into the comment section of that video that tweet that had like 7 million impressions. And the very first comment was, "Isn't this the guy that said piracy is bad?" And I'm like, that was 2 years ago, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Never forget, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you are famous for that.
Yeah, so I guess I am famous. Infamous, maybe. This is probably a better thing to be known for, so hopefully people could get over the piracy thing.
My favorite part of the video, just because I know you, was like, oh, I bought Mortal Kombat to see how bad it looks. And I was like, it can't just be this bad. Like, maybe it's my Switch. So I bought it on my other Switch. I'm like, Johnny, we all know what you're doing. Come on, man.
Yeah, I definitely, I say things and I show things to get engagement. And it's like I have this weird ability to predict like what people will point out. Like the one video, the first one I posted was just off-screen footage of the game, and I said something like, "Oh, it looks like I'm playing Clay Fighters or a PS1 game." And apparently people are like, you must have never played a PS1 game if you think that's what this looks like." I got so many comments about that.
Yeah, it's just everybody's opinion, right? Everyone's opinion is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was interesting to see. And then today, the day of recording, September 18th, I got a message from Nightcrawler. Shout out to Crawler, who's on the Nintendo Powercast, saying, "Hey, your tweet's in this IGN article." And it was my tweet. It wasn't the one that somebody just used and didn't tag me in.
Yeah, that was nice that they actually gave you the credit, and people can click on that link, which is crazy because that's kind of our topic for tonight, is the pros and cons of games journalism, and I would say that is probably the biggest con is that your tweet got into a IGN article, and so like that can't be good, right?
Wait, why would that not be good? That is a pro. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Yeah, we're talking about pros and cons of social. No, not social media. We did that one already.
No, we did that already.
We're doing
was
a game.
Few episodes back.
We're doing games journalism, pros and cons of it. We have a guest next week, Xanadude.
Yes.
You probably have seen him as the gaming teacher. I think that's what he calls himself.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So you probably saw him on TikTok. And he's starting his own. Well, actually, I know he wants to start his own gaming website, like game journalism website.
Yeah. So like I know that he's done a ton of research, and that's the reason that we're having him on the show is to learn more from him and what it is that he knows. But before we get into that, let's do some server maintenance real quick. We got some new reviews, which is awesome.
Yeah, so we're up, but they don't say anything. We got new reviews. We're up to 19 reviews on Apple Podcasts, and I think whoever gave us the 4-star review decided that we are actually worth the 5 stars because we no longer have a 4-star review.
Oh, nice.
So thank you to whoever that is out there to give us the 5-star review. We do appreciate it. And thank you I think we got 2 new 5-star reviews. And I do want to point out that there are 20 reviews on Spotify and 19 on Apple. So Apple almost caught Spotify. So Spotify listeners, make sure you give us that 5-star review as well.
Yeah.
We got. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just saying we have the Patreon live. We'll hopefully do the early access stuff soon. But thank you to Jeff Troyvania, who was on last week's episode, and Mikey, the RP. I don't know, Mikey. Thank you, Mikey, as the other patron.
Yeah. And you can follow us on all our socials. It's Calm Error Podcast, pretty much everywhere. And if you want to be part of next week's episode of the pros and cons of journalism, gaming journalism, leave your comments, leave your questions for Xanadude, and we will read them on the show.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe to YouTube. We're almost at 150 subs.
Which is crazy. Like even starting this almost, I mean, it hasn't even been a year yet, and we're at 150 subs.
It hasn't even been half a year. It's only been 4 months.
Yeah, and we're 21 episodes in, and so all the love and support you guys keep bringing our way helps the show more than you know. So thank you for listening and contributing. And if there's things that you want us to do or things you think that we could do better, let us know.
Yeah.
But Johnny, pros and cons, gaming journalism. How do you want to start this? Because I see it from like 2 ways, really. Is that one, we are nowhere near the games journalism industry, right? Like, I guess you are because your tweet got into an IGN article, so you're like closer.
Yeah. I'm an official IGN contributor now. I'm gonna start writing some articles for them.
But I think we can talk about it from a consumer standpoint and things that we notice just within being in the gaming circle and what we're reading and then the pros and cons of how we see it. Like, do you think that it is helping gaming?
I think there are like it's titled pros and cons. I think there are pros and cons. And I think when these outlets do what they're set up to do, right? They're news outlets, essentially.
Right.
When they are doing what they are set up to do, it is good. But then when they try to, I don't even know how to put it. I think Kotaku is a good example. Like, they kind of take it personally, but they're just, they're just supposed to be a gaming news outlet. So, for example, Kotaku, when Metroid Dread came out 2 or 3 years ago, they released an article on how to emulate the game, which, you know, piracy is bad. But so they released an article on how to emulate the game. Nintendo did not like that. So Nintendo blacklisted them from like getting advanced copies or review copies of their games. So, I think when Tears of the Kingdom came out, they didn't get a review copy.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like offended by that. And I forget what they released. They released some article that was not news. It was like an opinion, just like
it was spoilers for.
Was it spoilers?
Yeah, and I think it was before the game even released. And I could be wrong, but I feel like that's what it was. Or the day that the game released, they were showing people the ending to Tears of the Kingdom, and I don't know. I mean, like, they could have still been doing their job, but at the same time, there probably was some bitterness, and they wanted to get back at Nintendo. I think
it felt like a personal vendetta, and this is supposed to be a company, like not. It's not a person; it's a company.
Yeah.
So, like, they should act professional. And it just was not a professional way to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt petty, and it's just like, I just want gaming news from you, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there was even like the article, I think it was Kotaku, who during Dread was saying that Samus needs to smile more.
Oh, is that? Oh man, that is.
And like,
well, that's
clickbait.
It's clickbait and also misogynistic. Just don't say that.
Yeah, it's rage bait, right?
Yeah.
But like, I can also understand how some of these industries or these journalism sites do need the clicks. So yeah, they probably are going to have some kind of clicky headline. And are people actually reading? That is actually one of the things that I appreciate of Twitter, or what used to be on Twitter. I don't know if it still is, but when you would retweet, it'd be like, did you read the article first? Because maybe you should.
People don't get past the title, right?
Right.
Like, you see the title, like, because I know a big thing back when Metroid Dread was coming out is, we talked about this last week, is it worth $60? And I'm pretty sure that's why Kotaku released that article about here's how you could emulate it. Because they didn't think that it was worth $60. So people are, the title was probably like, here's how to get Metroid Dread for free.
Yeah. Which is hurting the gaming industry, especially when a new title releases, right? Because like, I can understand the argument of those that are wanting to emulate a game that is in the past, an older game that they don't have access to, which is a lot of games today. There's a lot of games that we just don't have access to anymore. So you emulate it, or you just patiently wait for the 1,000-year door to get announced
and pay $60 for it.
But with something like Dread that was so new, I just don't understand from their point why you would want to say that message or send that message
to get clicks, right?
Right.
That was one of the instances that they for sure did it to get clicks. And I mean, we are on the internet. Everything is clickbait. There are so many things vying for your attention. So you need to stand out. Content creators do it all the time. Gaming websites do it all the time. I do it all the time. Like, you're never gonna get people to, like, if your title is just like the written article, like Tears of the Kingdom is set in Hyrule, and you try to say Princess Zelda, like, that's not gonna get people to click, because, like, of course, yeah. But if you say, like, oh man, I don't want to spoil anything.
No, just saying, like, something like Tears of the Kingdom is not as great as Breath of the Wild. That's going to get people not even to read the article, but just to post their own opinion on it without even seeing what that person has to say. So I think that's a big not so much on the uh games journalism part of it, but like just the people. Like, read the article, see what the person has to say first before you give your opinion. Maybe your opinion is exactly what this person is saying.
No, it's they hear that first line and they just see
Right.
red.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it too. I'm guilty of clickbaiting, and I'm guilty of falling for clickbait.
Hmm.
Like I don't read the articles.
Hmm.
Maybe I
You don't
skim them.
read. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you don't even click on them to find out what it is that you're reading. I'm always so cautious of that, because like I could repost something and like in the middle of it, like I just have a fear that it's saying something so terrible that my views do not align with, but because I shared that article because of the headline, like that's all I needed. But if you actually like go into the article, now people think that whatever they said is what I believe. And I don't know. Like I think about that a lot.
Yeah, I mean I don't. If it's a gaming article, I don't really. I feel like it won't be that different than what the clickbaity title is. Like it's probably gonna have the same stuff. It's not gonna have some political views in there that I'm not gonna agree with. But if it is a political article, yeah, I'll definitely make sure I know what they're saying before I
Hmm.
repost it.
Hmm.
But I mean, a lot of the issues with games journalism is they are trying to get clicks, right? The
Right.
clicks get them advertisers, and that's how they pay their bills.
Yeah, and I think it would be wrong of us if we didn't even mention reviews, right? Like that's a huge part of games journalism, is just putting out a review. And I can't remember if we've had this conversation on here before or on Nintendo Powercast, which you should listen to. Johnny and I are on it. N64 Josh Crawler. It's a great podcast. Um, just about review scores and how they're subjective. Because like we had, what was the example? I feel like
Skyward Sword getting
uh
a 10.
did it really get a 10?
The Wii version got a 10 on IGN. I
Okay.
remember that. And
Huh.
it's not a 10. It's a 5.
Mhm.
But like a
No.
lot so leaning into the review scores, yeah, it's
Yeah.
subjective.
Yeah.
And what people expect from these big outlets like IGN, Kotaku, Polygon,
Yeah.
they want an unbiased opinion. But that's impossible.
Right.
Everybody is biased in some way. Everybody is biased, and the way I at least IGN, the way they do it is they have like their Nintendo writers review Nintendo games, Xbox review Xbox games, PlayStation games. So yeah, of course there's going to be bias, right?
Yeah.
There's no getting around it.
Mhm.
I have bias, you have bias, everybody is
Yeah.
biased.
Yeah.
Just trying to look at something objectively, you know, you could try to not show as much bias, but it's still going to be there.
Right. And I think it sways people when they see a number anyway. They're like, "Oh, I shouldn't even touch this game." Right? So like they're just doing their job, but it could be harming just gaming in general because they are putting out their own review score instead of letting others just kind of enjoy it for themselves and see if it's worth it. I mean, maybe they're saving people money, and in that sense, that's a good thing because games are expensive and not everybody can buy every single game that comes out.
Yeah, like
But then
I hope I save people money from buying Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch.
even though you gave them twice as much
Wait, what do you mean? Oh no,
because
oh yeah,
you
because I
bought
paid
two
more.
copies.
Yeah, but I bought one copy. There's only one copy. I bought the premium edition.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, no, I hope like articles. The article that I was in about how like Mortal Kombat 1 is not as good on Nintendo Switch as it is on the other systems. However,
Yeah.
they're charging the same amount of money. So I'm hoping people see that article and are like, maybe I'll wait for a sale.
Right. Yeah.
And the reviews are supposed to do that. They're supposed to give you an informed decision on if you want to buy a game or not.
Right.
That's why I really don't like doing like reviews as content. Because I feel like if I say a game is really good and then somebody buys it thinking, oh, this is a really good game, and then they hate it, like I feel like I'm at fault for that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's too much pressure on yourself. I think I get what you're saying, because I definitely would feel that too. But at the same time, like, we can't control what others do. Sure, you can influence. You're an influencer, but it's up to them if they really like. They should do the research, right, and see if that is.
I mean, the
game that
research
they
is
want.
watching reviews and watching videos. So if they're
You
getting
should. Okay, yeah, keep
like
going.
garbage
Keep going.
in, garbage out, right? If you're getting, if you're putting garbage in, you're gonna get garbage out.
Right.
So there's always people are thinking that like these outlets get paid off to give good reviews, and there are times that I'm like, maybe because I've played these games, I'm like, there's no way they're that good, and maybe it's also hard, like if you get a product for free. I mean, this isn't with games journalism, but if I were to be sent a game for free,
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to give a positive review so I could keep getting games, right?
I get that, but there also are FCC rules, right? Like,
Yeah, which
you
I don't have to
give-
abide by.
Why not? You should be.
Well, I
If
know,
you're getting-
I'm disclosing that I got paid, right? That's what you mean.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm disclosing
But you
that I
should
got it
give
for
your
free.
honest opinion.
Yeah, but like even if I'm not saying that I would, because this is why I don't do it, because I would feel inclined like I don't want to be that harsh on this game because they wouldn't want to work with me again. And I'm sure like when you have an outlet as big as IGN, you don't, well, even Kotaku, like Nintendo blacklisted them. That's a huge hit.
Right.
Like that's not good for business.
Well, but that's a different. I mean, we were saying at the beginning why they got blacklisted.
Yeah.
That's not the same as like, because I think even if you give a review, you see the positives in it. And I know that is hard for people to see these days, is the positive in everything, but you have to talk about the things that you liked about it, maybe give them some helpful criticism so that they could make their games better the next time, or it's like something that they could patch out. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And like, if I get any kind of product, I'll message them and be like, hey, is it cool if I like give my honest opinion on it? Because that's important to me. Like, my word is important. And I think that's how a lot of these gaming sites are as well, or at least that's the way I perceive them. I don't think that they get paid to talk about certain games. Like, maybe there's games that are sponsored, but I think that they would have to disclose that.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like it might not be intentional, but it's very difficult for me to believe that every game out there is an 8 out of 10 or higher. It feels like not many games get lower than 8s out of 10s from these review sites. And when they do, they get trashed for being low. Like IGN gave Starfield a 7.
Right. I mean, like, can you blame them? And I think actually, because we're bringing Xanadu on, I think Xanadu was one of those people that was upset that Starfield got a 7, but like, and I'm not remembering correctly what game it was. I think Skyrim got a lower score or something like that. We'll have to ask him.
Skyrim got a higher score. Skyrim has like a 9. Skyrim's a highly rated game.
Well, okay, so I don't remember what game it was, but he did tweet something like that. And to me, I don't know how you compare the two, any game that gets reviewed over time, and it's been years, right? Those are different reviewers. So even if somebody gave a game that's not as well liked a higher score than a game that was liked, that's that own person's opinion on the game, and it's not the same reviewer that reviewed the last game.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if Xanadude tweeted this, and if he did, or if he didn't, I apologize. But there was GameSpot gave it a 7 as well, and they were tweeting it out. They were tweeting the review out like every day, and somebody had said, "Oh yeah, it looks like engagement's down. You have to tweet out the review that you get, like the low review you gave this AAA game."
Yeah, I saw someone, I can't remember who it was, but essentially just because they gave it a average score or something, they had to keep talking about it in positive ways that they liked the game. Um but like from their review, it didn't seem like they enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, and even from like some reviews that you listen to or read, it's like I watched the IGN review of Starfield, and I thought at the end of it was going to be like a 9 out of 10, but because the way it usually works is they like list out all these problems with the game, but then they're like, oh, it's a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and like Starfield was like, you get over encumbered fast. There's no maps. It's only fast traveling. They gave it a 7 out of 10, but everywhere else is giving it 9 and 10 out of 10. So.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point earlier, though, is that consumers will trash them if they give it like a low score, which is now a 7 these days. I feel like even a 7 is low and means like you shouldn't even play the game, and
don't even touch it.
So like you can't really blame them for trying to please people, but also
that's disingenuine though. Like, what's the point of having the scale if you're not going to go below a certain number?
Yeah. I mean, do you think that there's a lot of games today that deserve a low number? Because in my eyes, I think that gaming has come so far that it's just gotten better. And sure, there are examples where it's like you're like, what was Mortal Kombat on Switch? Did they give a review?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see any reviews for it yet. It comes out officially tomorrow, so we'll see.
Oh, okay.
But I do believe Starfield's a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Like I think that was one of the more accurate reviews, personally, in my eyes. I know people are out there, Jeff, that will see it as a 9.5 out of 10. But for non-Bethesda fans, I think that was a very accurate review of the game. That it has its good points, but there's a lot of things that like a modern game would never do. Like, why would there be no map in a modern game? Mm-hmm. There's no handhold. I mean, I don't mind the no hand holding, but you just don't know you just don't know what to do. And I do think the reviews,
unless you're playing the story mode, like what Jeff said.
Well, I am playing the story mode.
Oh, you are?
And it still doesn't make any sense.
That's because you got to read, Johnny.
Yeah, that's true. You got to read. So any game that you have to read in, 7 out of 10 or lower.
Yeah, see, that's why these articles work so well, is because there's a bunch of words in them, and people are like, I don't care, what's the number?
No, I'm not saying like there are phenomenal games this year. Like this year is one of the best games, or one of the best years in gaming ever. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if there's that many. Like, if everything's a 10, nothing's a 10, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't have that many masterpieces.
Yeah, and even if it is a 10, what is that? That means that it's perfect, but nothing is perfect. There's always room for improvement.
I don't see that as like when I see 10 out of 10, I don't see it perfect. Like nothing is perfect, but it is a perfect gaming experience. Like for that game, I think Tears of the Kingdom is a 10 out of 10 game. That's definitely not a perfect game.
Mhm.
But for what it is, it's 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I was trying to think
And
if
that might be
I
bias.
because they also gave Breath of the Wild a 10, right?
Yes. And
So and
Baldur's
that's
Gate.
yeah. Yeah, and so I think no matter what it is that you're consuming, gaming or not, please just go get your sources from other or get your opinion from other sources as well and see what others are saying. Don't just stick to one source and say, "Oh, yep, that's a good opinion," or "I agree with that opinion." That's why like we need to have these kind of conversations. So I can understand like the pressure that they must go through, um but we also shouldn't be holding them so high because there's other sites that we can be checking as well to see if those opinions do line up. But I think it would be wrong of us to not mention, how games journalism is kind of dying, and we've had some layoffs or closures with like Giant Bomb and Fanbyte. And is that because they just aren't getting clicks? I mean, because that helps their sites.
I'm going to be
Um,
100% honest.
yeah,
I have only looked at IGN. Today was the first time I looked at IGN probably in years.
really?
Yeah, I don't go. How I get my gaming news is through YouTube
Uh huh.
or or Twitter.
Uh huh.
And sometimes I do watch like IGN's YouTube videos or I see their tweets, but I never go to Kotaku, I never go to GameSpot, I never go to I don't
Yeah.
go to these sites for my news.
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound like you're the only one. That's why they were having closures. It's a lot of content creators that are coming into this space and saying their own opinion about the games uh, and just the content that they're making. So I mean, and that's what I'm assuming, right? Like I can't say for certain that that is why all of this is happening. Like I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Just from an outsider perspective, there's a lot of different people that you can get good gaming content from. And yeah, I would still call like journalism content. Um like I can think of John Cartwright who made the Ask Waddle D Twitter account. Did you ever see that video?
No.
So it was John Cartwright, who's from Good Vibes Gaming, and he pretended to be a leaker for I think it was like a month, and just to say whatever he wanted, and people started believing it. And then he deleted the account just to show like this is how easy it is to convince people that you are a famous leaker and you know what is happening. And like that to me was good content. That's good gaming journalism in a sense.
Yeah.
Um
And I think a pro of gaming journalism is the I don't know how to phrase it, but like the security that the information you're receiving is
mhm.
probably accurate, right? It's not like they're not usually reporting on leaks or well, I guess a lot of them do now because that's a lot of clicks.
Right. Yeah.
But like you're not going to see an article that's just like completely fabricated.
At least I mean you hope not.
Yeah, you
There's
hope
sure there
not.
probably is.
But I'm looking like I went to IGN.com right now.
Uh-huh.
The first story is that Mortal Kombat on Nintendo Switch story. Then the other ones like Elder Scrolls 6 won't come to PS5. I saw that everywhere. That
Yeah.
like I don't need to go to IGN to see that. Like that was all over Twitter.
Uh-huh.
And then
But
they
it's
have
all over
some
Twitter because other people are sharing that article, or if it's not that article, it's another source that they are sharing. And so, yeah, we may not actually read what the person has to say, but it's being plastered all over the timeline that that's today's news, right?
Yeah. I just don't know. I don't understand why people are so. I guess we'll talk to Xanadude more about this, but like, why are people so upset with games journalism? Like, what makes them? He's looking at these articles. It's like they're like reviews and like how-to guides. Like, there's nothing in here that I'm like, oh wow, this sucks. Why would I like? They're just this is gross. Like there's also like they do a lot of top 25 stuff, like best selling.
Okay, well let's take top 25 because I can think of a couple of reasons why people get upset. They don't see their favorite game is up on the top 25 list.
Yeah, because it's subjective.
It's subjective. I know. I get that, but like people are passionate about the things that they love and that they care about, and they want others to feel the same thing that they are feeling. So it should be up on that list, right? No, that's somebody's subjective opinion. And so, but they are going to get, I mean, that's the internet. You know this. Come on. I mean, how many comments do you get that are trashing you every day?
But I just feel like they hold these gaming websites to some unobtainable standard.
Yeah.
That like they have to be robots and have some sort of algorithm to choose like what the top 25 is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I were to make a top 25 video personally on my personal channel, people would know that is my personal opinion.
Right. Oh, because it's coming from a higher like company.
Yeah, because now like when you put a review out there or, you know, these top 25 lists, it's coming from IGN, even though the writer or the creator of that article is a person, is one or two people. People see it as like, oh well, IGN as an entity said this. Just like that's what you know, people comparing like Starfield's review to like Skyrim's review, like you said, they're two different people doing that review, right? It's not the same person, but it's on the same website, on the same, it's under the same umbrella.
Right.
People, they can't disconnect that. They think this is IGN's opinion, like as a company.
Yeah. Not
this person's opinion. And I think that's where a lot of people tend to they just hold them to this higher standard. That it's just impossible. Like you can't have a media company where everything runs through like one person or like one filter.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not all approved by the same people. It doesn't go through all the same people. Like there's a Nintendo group, there's an Xbox group, there's a PlayStation group. Like it's not IGN's opinion. It's this writer for IGN's opinion.
Right. Yeah. And I guess like I wish that we would know more about what it is that they do behind the scenes. Like if they were to open up their doors and be like, hey, this is what games journalism is. This is everything that we do. These are the processes that we have to go through. Because I think there's a lot of people that have no idea what it is that they do or what it's like to be them. Because we still see that today. I mean, Alana Pierce was under fire because of that Starfield.
She should be fired. She works for Sony. Fired. She shouldn't be playing Starfield.
Right. And they were like, we're going to tell Cory and Cory Barlog. Is that his name? Is that
that's the Sony Santa Monica guy?
Yeah. I don't know if that's his last name or not. But anyway, they were like, yeah, we're going to tell on you. And she's like, you should? Because Cory also likes Starfield. So I don't really know what you think you're going to try to prove here. Like she was saying that the biggest misconception of the gaming industry is that these companies don't support each other, but like we all do. And
when everybody win, like when everybody's winning, like that's a good thing for everybody, right?
Right. Right.
I don't know, because there was another one that there was a tweet going around about how Phil Spencer supposedly bought a PS5,
I didn't
and that
see
was like a
this.
big deal. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, Sakurai has a PS5.
Yeah, they just don't. The internet doesn't separate, like, this is a company
Right.
versus it's a separate person that doesn't only think about
Yeah.
their company. Like, if you, all right, so I don't know, if you work at Target
Uh-huh.
and you buy something at Walmart,
Yeah.
are you betraying your company?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so dumb. I mean, there's people out there that are probably like that, and like
Possibly,
they
possibly.
themselves don't want to buy any other products from their competition. But I mean that I think there's from an outside perspective, I think there's a lot of pros because even talking about games that we didn't even know were available. Like people were talking about the Nintendo Direct and how it wasn't that great. And I agree, like it wasn't one of their best directs, but we still get these independent games that come through the directs that honestly I probably wouldn't know about if they didn't show them off.
Yes. I mean,
And they're still reporting on those kind of games that come through or any kind of spotlight that they want to give a developer. They're like, hey, yeah, we'll put it up on our site.
yeah, and
We'll help you out.
they always have like pre-shows and post-shows for these directs and state of plays and stuff.
Yeah.
And it is interesting to see their perspective, but again, it's like us. It's like us talking here. It's not like if we were to have a pre and post show of the Nintendo Direct, it would be the same vibe as their pre and post shows. It's just their writers or the people that work there, it's their opinion on it.
Right.
Like there was a pretty, I don't know if it's infamous. It was a pretty big thing that I remember, the Game Scoop podcast,
Okay.
which is IGN's. They one of the hosts said that there's no such thing as a good Sonic game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know this.
And
Yeah.
like people lost their mind over that,
Yeah.
even though it was true because there is no such thing as a good Sonic game. But I don't know, people just were like, how could you say that on IGN's podcast? And it's like, it's their personal opinion. I don't. What kind of podcast would it be where they were just like reading news articles?
Yeah. And like just because it's somebody's opinion doesn't mean that you can't bat back, right? Like it is freedom of speech, but I also have freedom of speech to say what it is that I want. So like I get how people are wanting to give their 2 cents, right? But we and this is getting on a deeper level, but that's fine because like that's what I believe in this podcast. We do have to sit down and have these conversations and give our full opinions on what it is that we like, what we don't like, and have conversations, not arguments, which is a huge problem with the internet. Like it's just arguing 24/7 instead of like, I respectfully disagree with your opinion, but it's cool that you think that way. Like I know that that's just not how we see things today, but it would be nice if we could somehow get back to that.
Can't we all just get along?
Can't we? It would be so nice. And like there were no console wars, and I'm just thinking of like the if society was meme, and we all have those floating cars. And
I'm really interested to see what Xanadu. The reason he's making the website is because he doesn't like the way games journalism is going, and I really want to know. What he wants to change, like what he thinks should change.
Right.
Because I do understand. I think the content creators, they kind of they changed how games journalism kind of works, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
because now they are, you know, a lot of content creators do news.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they might be taking views away from these journalism sites.
Yeah. Maybe that's the problem, right? Is that you were saying that it feels more of like a company is saying this instead of an individual. So I want to get my news and my information from an individual, this influencer, this content creator that I really enjoy versus like just a company's name.
See, I was thinking it would be the opposite, right? Like you would want
You
your
would
new
think, yeah.
you want your news from like a viable company or like a viable news
Yeah.
station. Like I'm not gonna I don't watch, like I watch, you know, ABC News for my
Uh-huh.
news. Like I don't
Uh-huh.
watch Joe Schmo.
Well, that's interesting because like I don't know, I'll get like news from Twitter or like headlines or whatever. Um but Hannah and I will watch a lot of Philip DeFranco, who is like always talking about today's news. So, and most of the time, it's like things that were on Twitter that day, but he goes into more depth of what is actually happening, gives his opinion, but then kind of passes it off into the comments to see how others are feeling about it, and then moves on to the next section. So, like, that's kind of how we're getting our news is bit by bit, but like Philip DeFranco is somebody that has been around YouTube since I think it started basically. Um, and is not someone who is going to I don't know. I think they are reliable and they have a team that puts together the show and grabs the articles and the um and statements that are said in those interviews and so like that's how I get my news. As far as gaming, it's just I guess yeah, whatever pops up on Twitter. Maybe there's a couple of YouTube videos that pop up on my
Yeah.
subscription.
I do think I think it's a problem with news in general and journalism in general,
Hmm.
but the want and need to be first.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah.
you're trying to get your article out first. You're not doing your due diligence. So
Hmm.
there could be, you know, factual errors. I
Yeah.
do think that is a problem.
Yeah.
And I have we have seen it with games journalism. Like I could think of the Bayonetta voice actor situation
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
when
good one.
when she came out and said, you know, she wasn't getting paid or something. I
Hmm.
forget what it was. And
She
then
wasn't getting paid the right amount.
yeah, or she thought she should get paid more.
Right. Yeah.
I don't remember what it was exactly, but everybody was putting out articles like, how dare Platinum Games do this to her and all this stuff, and apparently there was a lot of things going on in the background that
Yeah.
they did not even try and find out. They just took her word for it. They didn't do any due diligence and ask any questions, and they just got the article out.
Hmm.
And that was trending like that day.
Hmm.
And then the next day it was like, whoops, we were wrong.
Right. But I would also say just now, like you and I can't really remember the events of it. And it was like a big event for a couple days or a week, and it's already forgotten.
Yeah. Have you ever watched there's movies, there's like the news movies. I forget what one's called. There was one about the Catholic Church.
Oh, Spotlight?
There's Spotlight. And then we just watched one recently. They're always fascinating to me because they don't. It's not like one day and the article's out. It's like months and months of
Hmm.
research and interviews
Yeah.
to get this in-depth article out. And now I just don't think they see it as financially sustainable to do that. Like they need the clicks, they need to get the ad revenue, and they don't do a lot of actual journalism.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Um, but I also think that kind of falls on us for not doing our own research, right? Like we just will take everybody's word for face value. And like you said, it's the first one to get posted. So like there's a
But that's
new
not
game that
really our
comes out. We
job,
want to.
though, right? That's not our job. We shouldn't
It's
have
not.
to, as a reader, as a consumer, we should not have to do their job. We should not have to do their research. Like we
Yeah,
shouldn't have
no,
to see Bayonetta voice actor is not getting paid and be like, oh well, let me call some of my contacts and see if this is actually true. No, it should be they've already done their due diligence
yeah.
and they put out a full article.
Yeah, it's the controversy, right? Like I can think of I don't know if you watch Black Mirror.
No,
No. Well,
I mean I know what it is. I know what it is.
The new season had a episode called Joan is Awful, and essentially it is this Netflix series that people are watching, except I think it's Streamberry in the show. Um that it's original show about this girl whose name is Joan. Joan is awful. And it is following this person's real life, and everybody gets to see this person's real life and how bad of a person they are. But the end of it, spoilers, I guess, is um, this AI machine could create anybody is awful. So like they could make a show about you and say it's awful. They can make a show about me and say it's awful. And then they ask like, well, how come it isn't more friendly? And they're like, oh, well, we tried like Brian is awesome, but it doesn't get people's attention the same way that someone is awful. Like you have to know why that person is so bad versus like, hey, this person is so cool.
Yeah,
It's all
negativity.
clicks.
Yeah,
It's
negativity
it's all
drives clicks.
so
Like even
from,
even the why my videos went viral is because it is negative content, right? I'm
Mhm.
showing something negative about that game.
I I and it's not like I'm trying to back you up or anything. You're right. Like it is negative about the game, but I do think it still is informative as to why people shouldn't buy that game or that the Mortal Kombat developers should be doing better to put their games on Switch.
Do you know what is like the weirdest thing? I got gaslit so hard these couple days.
Yeah, how?
So I captured video directly off of my Switch.
Mm-hmm.
But I have hundreds, if not thousands of comments saying, "Oh, this isn't what it looks like." Like I've seen other videos. This isn't what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I going crazy? Like,
Did you have like a thought of like, oh, I shouldn't have put that out there?
yeah. I even told Kelsey, I'm like, maybe they're right. Maybe I shouldn't have put this out. So I did download it on another system to see, and it's the same. So I feel more confident that is just how it looks. And I even All In podcast, shout out to them. They put out a video about it, and it also is awful for them too. So it looks bad. But I felt like I don't know how people do this for a living. Like I would just be questioning everything.
Yeah.
So they didn't even believe. So people don't even believe you when it's like actual like when you know it's actual footage.
Yeah.
So like I can't imagine when IGN's putting these articles out or Kotaku's putting these articles out. Like people just don't believe it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they want to believe what they want to believe, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it is always good to have these gaming media outlets where you're hopefully getting reliable sources and not being led on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've made people make fake videos. I've made fake videos.
What do you mean you've made fake videos? What do you mean?
So, Thor's hammer
Oh,
in
yes.
in Fortnite. So this is a callback. I stopped doing this because I felt bad for doing it, but it
What
did give
was
me.
it? Was this 2020?
This is a while. It might have been 2020. It was a while ago, but
Yeah.
Thor's hammer was released in Fortnite, and if you don't know, there was a thing where only worthy characters can wield Thor's hammer. So it was Thor, and at the time it was Captain America. Spoilers for Endgame, I guess, but but I was like, I'm gonna say that these other characters are worthy and
Mhm,
see what it does. So I made one with Kylo Ren, saying Kylo Ren was worthy, and
mhm.
I was like, I got like 2 million views on that. I did another video where there's a shark costume, and there's a
That's the
shark
one that got me.
and
Yeah.
there's a shark in the game, and the shark usually attacks you when you're near it, and I wanted to make it look like the if I was wearing a shark costume, it wouldn't attack me. I think I did a pretty good job. It wasn't attacking me, but I was just at that cusp of like where it would or would not.
Mhm,
So yeah, I've
mhm.
I've made fake videos. People make fake videos all the time. Nadia. Do you know who Nadia is?
I don't.
She was she was really big on TikTok for Call of Duty, like earlier this year or maybe last year, and she has now branched out into other content. But she made a video, or she was in a video where they were in a hot tub or like an ice water tub,
Mhm.
and she got
An
in
ice
and made
bath.
yeah an ice bath, yeah, and she got in and made it look like she had an accident,
Okay.
and apparently it was fake, but like it got a ton of views.
Mhm.
The
So,
one thing when I was watching that, I'm like, well, if this is fake, like, why would you want to be known for that?
right.
Like, why would you want to be known for like crapping your pants in the pool? Like, that's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like, you want to get views, but like, why would you choose that? Choose something
Uh-huh.
else.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's it's all attention. Like that's the thing is we all are in the business of attention. It doesn't matter what it is that you do. You need that person's attention in order to get business, in order to get clicks, to get views. So that's the biggest problem I think is like we have lost trust in so many people and so many things that like I mean you said it yourself like you were creating fake videos and so like why should people trust you going forward.
Yeah, but hopefully
Kotaku
with
has made
with
this article about Tears of the Kingdom or even Dread. Why should people trust them? Review scores on IGN. Why should people trust them? Nintendo Life. Why should people trust them if they're just talking about Nintendo games? Like they're going to be biased, right? I personally I really like a lot of Nintendo Life's articles, and I know the people that like run them. So I'm biased in that sense, but I think that they do a good job even I don't know if they are, how they're considered if they're like a big uh a journalism
they're
site
probably
or
one
if
of the
they're
bigger
independent.
Nintendo ones.
Yeah. But even if they're like an independent or inspiring those that are wanting to do games journalism, I mean, that's good too. But like we've lost trust in so many things that it's hard to take people's opinions seriously. I don't know.
I think that's
I
what
think
it
it
boils down to. I think that is a lot of the issues with gaming journalism is we don't know what we can trust.
yeah,
We don't know
and again, I
if
would love to see what is happening behind the scenes. If there's anybody that is listening to this and you're in games journalism, like I think just as great content, open your doors and allow us to see like everything that you're going through and what you do in the process of it because there's so many people that are lost.
yeah, and it all kind of boils down to like I, I want to know who approve. Like I would love to know how many people approve these articles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just it's fascinating.
Well, I can think of like this is completely different. And if we're going over time, you let me know. But
Oh, we're
like,
at like an hour, but that's fine. We got to an hour and a half last week, and it's doing pretty well. So we got to keep pushing. Got to keep pushing. To the ones
but
that are
like,
listening this long, you're the real ones.
it's true. Leave your comments, please. I seriously think that this could be a great episode and community patch notes episode on this topic because I think that there are many different opinions that need to be heard. Screen Rant is an article that like they put out so much a day, and like it's all for clicks. Like they have to get the attention. They're putting all of that stuff on Twitter, so you're seeing it throughout the day. Is all of it newsworthy? No, but they know that someone is going to like it or hate it or comment on it. So I'm sure that it's like the higher ups that are telling them, "Hey, we need this much a day to be seen."
And I mean that's okay, right? It's a business.
It's
They need to make money. I think there has
sure.
to be a balance of clicky titles
Uh-huh.
and actual journalism. Like I love some of the like the in-depth impressions that some of these sites do. I love those.
Mhm.
You don't see them that often because it's like the clicky articles and tweets, and I get it. I understand it's frustrating as a consumer, but I also
Yep.
understand that's what you have to do. That's the internet, right? That's the internet,
Mhm.
and they're now news outlets are competing with content creators.
Yeah.
So it sucks in a way because we're probably not getting high quality journalism.
Mhm.
But I do think being in the know all the time, like we at least will have access to this information all the time somewhere.
Yeah. Cuz it's just archived, right?
Yeah.
Or at least should be.
I'm really interested to see what Xanadude has to say. I'm really interested to see how our community feels about games journalism. Also, I do want to put this out there because we are not, well, we're not critics. We're not game journalists.
Nope. We're just two idiots with a microphone.
Yeah, like I'm not. I've gotten comments where I am clearly saying something biased, like
Mhm.
Tears of the Kingdom was the best game ever made,
Mhm.
and people think that like I should have some critical view about it, but like it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to be a critic.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. I just want to put that out there just so people know that I am not. I'm clearly biased, and I'm trying to be biased on purpose,
Mhm.
so people don't
Yeah, I
think.
guess yeah, like you are so good at knowing how to get people's attention and like what it is that's going to get them talking. And I'm sure that's what these uh, journalism sites also have to think about is like kind of get in the mind of a content creator instead of these articles that they used to do. That's just and I don't know. Maybe this is nothing. Should we blame BuzzFeed? Is BuzzFeed the problem? Like, I feel like they
What
kind of
What Twilight character are you?
right. Yeah. Uh, I they kind of came up with lists. I feel like maybe that's always been a thing, but it
Oh
seemed
yeah,
like that was more like you're not gonna read this article. Here's our list of the top 20 shows you should be watching or
yeah.
something.
BuzzFeed. Yeah, it's not just games journalism. It's all journalism. Like
Yeah.
we're out of the investigative reporting era. We're in the internet era of
Yeah.
clicks. So I don't know. I'm interested to see.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I think the other news movie that you were thinking of that you couldn't think of earlier is Anchorman.
Oh, yeah.
That's, yeah.
Brick killed a guy with a trident? Yeah, I killed a guy with a trident. Oh, man. What a classic. It's probably horrible. Like, it probably does not hold up well at all.
I don't think it does hold up, but it still has some very memorable lines.
60% of the time, it works every time.
And that's games journalism, folks.